Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be tackling IT outsourcing, but we're going way beyond, just like basic help desk stuff. We really want to dig into how IT outsourcing can be like a serious game changer for businesses that are looking to grow, not just like a quick fix for like little IT headaches, you know. So to help us with this deep dive, we're going to be looking at this company, EAG Inc. And our main source material is this excerpt called Pasted Text. And get this, we're going to be talking about some surprising stuff, like hidden costs that are lurking in those like traditional IT setups that a lot of businesses have. And we'll see how EAG helps companies navigate tricky things like mergers, moving everything to the cloud, and even how they handle the unique challenges that come up in the oil and gas industry.
It's a really great example of how crucial technology has become. It's woven into every single part of running a successful business these days.
Okay, so let's jump right in. One of the first things that really stood out to me in this material was how EAG positions themselves. They're not just like a tech support company. They really see themselves as a strategic partner.
Yeah, and that's a super important difference in today's business world. Technology isn't just like a separate department anymore. It's really a part of everything. Production, logistics, marketing, customer service, you name it. So a strategic IT partner doesn't just come in and fix a computer when it breaks. They actually take the time to understand your business goals. And then they show you how to use technology to hit those goals.
So instead of having a mechanic who only fixes your car when it breaks down, you've got like a tech-savvy co-pilot who's always looking ahead and helping you navigate.
Exactly. EAG is all about taking that proactive approach and using technology to drive innovation and make your operations so much smoother and more efficient.
Love that. Okay, so let's take a peek under the hood and see what really makes EAG tick. The material we're looking at mentions a few key elements of their services, and the first one that jumped out to me was this thing called immediate Tier 3 support. What in the world does that even mean? And why should I care?
Okay, imagine this. You're sitting at your desk and bam, you've got this major IT issue. Your whole operation grinds to a halt and you can't get any work done. Now, with a lot of those traditional IT setups, you'd be stuck calling a help desk, explaining the problem to a bunch of different people and waiting for who knows how long to get a solution. But with EAG, you get to bypass all of that. Immediate Tier 3 support means you're connected directly to a highly skilled engineer, someone who can actually fix your problem quickly and efficiently.
So no more playing phone tag with the help desk while your business is losing money. I can see why that would be a huge relief for any busy professional.
You got it. It really minimizes downtime, and it lets you get back to the important stuff without all the frustration.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the next thing they highlight is cybersecurity, and this is a topic that can feel like a minefield for a lot of companies. How does EAG approach cybersecurity differently?
They cut through all the noise, and they focus on what truly matters, which is coming up with practical and cost-effective solutions. So you won't find them using like scare tactics to try and sell you services you don't really need. What they do is they take the time to understand the specific risks that your business faces, and then they implement security strategies that actually fit your budget and your actual needs.
So basically, they skip the fear-mongering and give you a clear-eyed assessment of what you need to stay safe.
Yep. It's all about finding that balance between protection and practicality.
I like that. So they also talk about how they handle server management. And this is interesting because they emphasize that they can manage your servers, whether they're like the physical ones in your office or if you've moved everything to the cloud. So why is that such a big deal these days?
Well, we're seeing more and more companies moving towards what we call a hybrid IT environment, which basically means they have some servers in their own offices, but they also have some servers in the cloud. And managing that mix can get pretty complicated, but EAG has the expertise to handle both. So everything runs smoothly and your data is secure no matter where it lives.
So it's like having this expert who's fluent in both languages.
Yeah.
The language of traditional IT and the language of the cloud.
Exactly. And that gives you a lot of flexibility and scalability to be able to adapt as your business needs change.
Makes sense. Now, one more thing that really stood out to me is that EAG talks about creating industry-specific solutions, especially for manufacturers. So why is it so important to have an IT partner who really gets the ins and outs of your specific industry?
Well, think about it this way. You know a generic IT provider. They might be able to keep your computers up and running, but they might not understand the nuances of your industry. You know the specific challenges and opportunities that you face every day. But EAG is different. They take the time to really learn your business inside and out so they can offer solutions that are tailor-made to your specific needs.
Yeah, so the difference between seeing a general practitioner and a specialist. Sometimes you need someone with that deep expertise.
Exactly. And EAG really shines when it comes to complex industries like manufacturing and even oil and gas, which we'll talk about more later. They have a really deep understanding of the unique IT challenges that those industries face.
Looking forward to digging into that. But first, let's talk about something that's always top of mind for businesses, the bottom line. So what are some of the real tangible benefits that companies are seeing when they partner with EAG? One of the big ones they highlight is that businesses finally have the ability to focus on their core business.
And that's huge because when you outsource your IT to a company like EAG, you're essentially freeing up your own internal team so they can focus on what they're best at. They can spend less time wrestling with tech issues and more time developing products, serving customers, and growing your business.
So IT outsourcing is not just about fixing IT problems. It's actually about giving your team the freedom to do what they do best.
Absolutely. It's like having a whole IT department at your fingertips without the headache of having to manage it all yourself.
That's a pretty compelling argument. That's, of course, we also have to talk about cost efficiency. It's always a major concern for any business. And this is where things get really interesting with EAG because they claim to be able to uncover all these hidden cost traps that are lurking in traditional IT setups. Can you give us some concrete examples of what those traps might look like?
Sure. Just imagine your business is running on this outdated software, and it's constantly crashing. You're losing time, productivity, and even data. Or maybe your security is riddled with holes, so you're vulnerable to cyber attacks that could cost you a fortune. These are just a couple of the hidden costs that businesses often face.
It's kind of like driving a car that's always breaking down. You might think you're saving money by not buying a new one, but all those repairs end up costing you way more in the long run.
That's a perfect analogy, and that's exactly where EAG comes in. They help you identify those hidden costs, and they implement solutions that will actually save you money over time.
So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about making smart investments.
You got it.
Now, they also talk a lot about the importance of scalability and flexibility, and they really emphasize that their services are designed for businesses of all sizes. So why is that such a big deal?
Well, traditionally, only those really big companies could afford to have a fully staffed IT department. Smaller businesses were kind of left to fend for themselves, or they relied on these ad hoc solutions that weren't really ideal. But EAG levels the playing field by offering enterprise-grade IT services to businesses of all sizes.
So you're saying that even a small startup can have access to the same level of IT expertise as a Fortune 500 company?
Exactly. It's all about democratizing access to technology, so every business has the tools they need to thrive.
That's a pretty powerful idea. Okay, so we've talked about how EAG positions themselves. We've looked at some of their key service areas, and we've touched on some of the benefits. Now let's get into some of the specific challenges that they help businesses overcome. And one that they mentioned that jumped out to me was software integration. Can you paint a picture of what that problem actually looks like in the real world?
Okay, sure. Let's say you're a company and you're using like 5 different pieces of software. You've got one for sales, one for marketing, one for inventory, one for customer support, and none of them talk to each other. It's a nightmare. You're constantly switching back and forth, manually entering data, and you're risking errors all over the place.
It's like trying to run a business with one hand tied behind your back.
Exactly. And that's where EAG comes in. They streamline those systems so they all work together seamlessly, so everything's more efficient and accurate.
So no more data silos and manual data entry nightmares.
Right. It's about making technology work for you, not against you.
Makes sense. Now, they also highlight their expertise in handling mergers and acquisitions. So why is IT integration so crucial during those processes?
Well, when 2 companies merge, you often have to combine their IT systems, and this can be incredibly complicated because you're dealing with potential data loss, security breaches, and all kinds of disruptions if it's not done right. And EAG has the experience to handle these transitions smoothly, to minimize those risks and make the whole process much less painful.
So they're like the IT equivalent of a wedding planner. They're making sure everything runs without a hitch.
I like that analogy. They take care of all those behind-the-scenes details, so you can focus on the bigger picture.
That's awesome. So another area they focus on is IT infrastructure planning. What does that actually mean? And why should businesses care about it?
Well, IT infrastructure planning is basically about having a roadmap for your IT systems. It's about knowing what you need now and what you're going to need in the future. It might involve upgrading your servers, moving to the cloud, implementing new software. EAG helps businesses create a plan that actually supports their current needs, but it also anticipates their future growth.
So it's like having a blueprint for your technology, making sure that it's built to last. and can adapt to whatever's coming next.
Exactly.
And then they also talk about how they help businesses evaluate cloud services. Why is that such a crucial step for businesses today?
Well, the cloud offers a lot of potential, but it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one company might be a total disaster for another. So EAG uses a bunch of different tools and techniques to figure out if moving to the cloud actually makes sense for you.
So they're not just trying to push you into the cloud, they're actually helping you figure out if it's a good fit.
Right. It's about making smart decisions and avoiding those costly mistakes.
Makes sense. So it seems like EAG goes way beyond just fixing problems. They have this proactive and tailored approach to IT.
That's right.
Can you tell me a little more about what that looks like in practice?
Sure. They're not just waiting around for problems to pop up. They're constantly monitoring your systems, performing regular maintenance, and they're always updating your security to prevent problems before they happen.
So they're not just firefighters putting out fires, they're fire marshals making sure those fires never start in the first place.
Love that.
And we talked earlier about how EAG creates customized solutions, especially for specific industries. Can you talk a little bit more about how they tailor those services to each business?
Sure. EAG doesn't believe in a one-size-fits-all approach, so they really take the time to understand your business goals, your challenges, and your budget. And then they use that information to develop a custom IT strategy for you.
So it's like getting a custom tailored suit
Yeah,
versus buying one off the rack.
exactly. And that level of personalization is what makes EAG different.
Gotcha. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is this idea of continuous innovation. Why is it so important for businesses to stay up to date with all the latest tech trends?
Well, think about it. Technology is constantly changing. What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow. So EAG helps businesses stay ahead of the curve. They identify those new technologies, and they figure out how to incorporate them into your operations.
So it's not just about keeping up with the competition. It's about having a real edge. So it seems like we've come full circle back to our original theme. IT outsourcing isn't just about cutting costs anymore. It's a strategic business decision that can drive growth and innovation.
It's a total mindset shift. IT isn't just an expense. It's an asset. It's a way to achieve your goals.
Yeah, and EAG seems to be leading the charge in this new era of IT outsourcing.
They're definitely a company to watch.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've talked about how IT outsourcing has evolved. We looked at EAG's approach. And we even dug into some of the challenges they help businesses overcome. But there's still so much more to explore.
Definitely. In the next part, we'll dive into EAG's expertise in the oil and gas industry. It's a fascinating area where technology plays a vital role in safety efficiency and environmental responsibility.
That's definitely something we'll want to unpack. We'll also look at some of the broader trends shaping the future of IT outsourcing. And we'll talk about some key things to consider when you're choosing an IT partner. So stay tuned.
So, we touched on oil and gas a little bit before. Let's shift gears and really talk about EAG's expertise in that industry. What makes the oil and gas sector so different when it comes to IT?
It's interesting because it's a world of extremes. You've got these really remote locations, harsh weather conditions, massive pieces of equipment. And the safety regulations are incredibly strict. So you need these IT solutions that can not only survive in those environments, but they have to actually thrive, and they have to be reliable even when things get really tough.
Yeah, it's definitely not your typical office setup.
Not even close. We're talking about pipelines, drilling rigs, refineries. Any downtime in these operations can have huge financial consequences, and not to mention the potential impact on the environment.
Yeah, reliability and resilience are super important in that industry.
Absolutely. And then you've got the whole data factor to think about. The oil and gas industry generates massive amounts of data from sensors, monitoring systems, geological surveys, you name it. So being able to manage and analyze all that data is crucial for everything, from exploration and production to safety and environmental compliance.
Right. It's about taking all that raw data and turning it into useful insights that can help optimize operations and make better decisions.
Exactly. And that's where you really need that specialized IT expertise. And that's where EAG comes in. They built this reputation for understanding what this industry needs, and they create these solutions that tackle those challenges head on.
So can you give me some specific examples? How are EAG solutions used in the field?
Yeah, so one area is field operations. They help companies implement these mobile technologies. So workers in the field can have instant access to critical data. They can communicate in real time and make decisions faster, which ultimately makes things more efficient.
So they're basically connecting the field to the office and making sure that data can flow smoothly. no matter how remote or challenging the environment is.
Right. And they also work on stuff like pipeline monitoring and leak detection. They use sensors and data analytics to find potential problems before they become major incidents.
So they're preventing disasters before they happen.
Exactly. And their expertise with data management and analytics helps those companies make sense of all the data they're collecting so they can optimize production, reduce costs, and make things safer.
It's like they're bringing the digital revolution to an industry that's always been very hands-on.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just about the technology itself. It's about understanding the business processes and the regulatory requirements, and then making sure those IT solutions actually meet their needs.
You need a company that really specializes in that area.
Yeah, EAG has definitely carved out a niche for themselves there.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and think about the bigger picture. What are some of the big trends you're seeing in IT outsourcing in general, not just in oil and gas?
Yeah, so one of the things that keeps coming up is the growing complexity of IT. You've got more companies moving to the cloud, people using more mobile devices, and we're just generating more data than ever before. And then you've got the whole cybersecurity threat on top of that. It's a lot for any company to handle on their own.
So it sounds like IT outsourcing is becoming more of a necessity than a choice for a lot of businesses.
For a lot of them it is, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. They often don't have the resources to build their own IT department.
Yeah, that makes sense. Outsourcing lets them get that expertise and technology without having to spend a ton of money.
Exactly. And the other thing we can't ignore is the growing importance of cybersecurity. These attacks are getting more frequent and more sophisticated. Companies really can't afford to ignore security anymore.
Yeah, you need someone who really knows what they're doing.
Exactly. Outsourcing cybersecurity to a company like EAG can give you access to the latest security technologies and a team of experts who are always watching out for those threats.
Yeah, it takes a lot of stress off your plate.
For sure. And of course, we have to mention the whole digital transformation thing. It's impacting pretty much every industry these days.
It's not just about using technology to run your business. It's about using it to completely change how you operate, how you connect with customers, and how you create value.
Right. It's about using technology to grow your business. And that requires a different kind of IT partner, someone who understands the big picture.
You need someone who can help you figure out how to use technology strategically.
And it seems like companies like EAG are stepping up to meet that need. They're not just providing services, they're becoming true partners.
It's an exciting time to be in the IT world.
It really is. So it all comes back to what we've been saying. IT outsourcing isn't just about saving money. It's about driving business growth and innovation.
It's about finding the right partner, someone who can help you navigate all the complexity and unlock the potential of technology.
Well said. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to ask you a question. What's been the most surprising or interesting thing you've learned about IT outsourcing so far?
And what questions are you thinking about as you consider the role of IT in your own business? We'll be back in just a minute to wrap up our deep dive into the world of IT outsourcing.
Okay, so welcome back to the final part of our IP outsourcing deep dive. We've seen how much it's changed. It's not just about saving money anymore. It can actually help businesses grow and innovate, especially when they partner with companies like EAG, who really get those unique industry needs, like in the oil and gas world. But let's get practical for a minute. Let's say you're a business leader. You're listening to this, and you're thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but how do I actually choose the right outsourcing partner?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, and honestly, the answer starts with you. Before you even start looking at different providers, you really got to figure out what you need. What are you hoping to get out of outsourcing? Are you trying to save money, boost efficiency, ramp up your security, or maybe it's all of the above?
It's like building a house. You wouldn't just start building without a blueprint, right?
Exactly. You need to know what you want to achieve before you start laying the foundation. Then you can start looking at different companies and see if they have the expertise you need. Don't fall into that trap of thinking that one size fits all.
So it's not just about going with the biggest name in the game. It's about finding the right fit.
Exactly. And do your research. Look at their track record. Read reviews. Talk to other businesses who have used them.
Yeah, word of mouth can be so valuable.
It really can. But it's not just about their technical skills. You got to think about how they communicate, how responsive they are, and their overall customer service.
Yeah, because if they're a nightmare to work with, what's the point of outsourcing in the first place?
Exactly. You're trying to make your life easier. And speaking of things that can keep you up at night, don't forget about security. Make sure they're taking security seriously. because they're going to be handling your data.
Yeah, data breaches are a disaster.
They really are. And one last thing. Don't be afraid to really look at their pricing. Make sure it makes sense. And that there are no hidden surprises.
Total transparency is so important.
You got it. Choosing an outsourcing partner is a big decision. But when it's done right, it can really pay off.
Okay, so you've done your research, you found the perfect partner. What are some tips for actually making that relationship work?
Well, communication is key. Treat your IT partner like they're part of your team, not just a vendor you call when something breaks. Keep them updated about your goals, your challenges, any changes in your business. That way they can give you the best possible solutions.
It's about building a partnership.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to give feedback. If something's working great, let them know. If you have concerns, tell them. The more you communicate, the better.
That open communication can prevent so many problems down the road.
It really can. And be open to their suggestions. They're the experts. They might see things you haven't thought of.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about how IT outsourcing has evolved, the benefits, the challenges, how to choose the right partner. What's the one big thing you hope people take away from this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that IT outsourcing has come a long way. It's not just about saving a few bucks anymore. It's about getting access to amazing technology and expertise and finding a partner who can really help you grow your business.
I love that. So before we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with one final thought. We talked a lot about the good stuff, but it's important to remember that outsourcing isn't a magic bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems instantly. You have to plan carefully, communicate clearly, and be ready to work together. But when it's done right, it can really transform your business. So as you're thinking about your IT strategy, think about how you can use technology to your advantage, whether that's through outsourcing or something else.
Yeah, technology is always changing, so stay curious, keep learning, and stay ahead of the game.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.